So the comment period wrapped up, and two of the heavy hitters that were in there were the GOA and SB Tactical. They did really amazing letters. I wanted to go through them point by point, but honestly, they're like altogether probably over 100 pages long.
Very well. Where do I begin?
I couldn't even get through like past 20 pages without having my board completely filled up. So we're just going to touch on a couple of points I really liked about it. Number one, there's roughly 40 million braces out there. That's a lot. That's an incredible amount. So should the ATF use deference to basically classify all braces as SBRs? And they could. They have deference. They have that power. We're trying to strip it away, but they've had that power since 1984, and they're holding on with their claws. But, you know, we'll see how the bump stock thing plays out, and hopefully they'll lose deference, and then that will take away their ability to do things like this. But should they use deference and make those SBRs, that will affect 40 million people. Now, the ATF decided that those numbers were false, and it's only like 3 million. I don't know how they came up with those numbers. I think they just rolled their magic 8 ball and was like, oh, yeah, 3 million, that's the number. Makes no sense at all. The next part they hit on is avoiding the NFA, which makes no sense, because in their little checklist of how to tell if you have an SBR or not, it says avoiding the NFA. So say I have an FNX 45 Tactical and it doesn't have a stock on it. Does it not have a stock on it because FN wanted to avoid the NFA? I mean, that gun would probably be easier to shoot with a stock on it. So is that pistol avoiding the NFA? If I have a rifle with 16 inches on it, did they put a 16-inch barrel on there to avoid the NFA? Basically, that little catch in there makes all firearms NFA items. Now, if that's not enough, then even in their little checklist it says, hey, even if you pass the checklist, if we decide it's an SBR, it's an SBR. Which makes absolutely no sense. Then the whole point of an SBR was back when they written the law, and it's an actual law, the point of putting an SBR on there is because, one, an SBR is less accurate and it's easier to conceal. The brace does the opposite for both of those. If you put a brace on there, the firearm is less concealable. And the whole point of SBRs is because they said they were for gangster guns and they wanted to have those have special regulations because if you own one of those firearms, they're less accurate and they're easier to conceal. Therefore, they have no realistic purpose except for committing crimes. You put a brace on there and now it's less concealable. That's the opposite of the whole point of an SBR. And then, should you shoulder said brace, you're going to get more accuracy than just holding it out like this. So they touch on that quite well. It's beautifully written. You should definitely go check out the letters if you haven't yet. Side note, I almost forgot, Crump actually did a pretty good job covering the letters in their entirety. If you want to check him out, go to his channel right there. Anyway, it just proves the point that, hey, why are you putting braces in there? They don't fit the whole point of an SBR. That makes no sense. And then the whole one-handed shooting thing. Aside from cowboy action shooters that shoot their pistol one-handed for the sole purpose of freeing up their other hand for another pistol so they can dual-wield pistols, who in the shit shoots pistols one-handed? That is the stupidest qualifier I have ever seen to decide if something's a pistol or not. Even like your standard semi-automatic like Glock pistols, everyone shoots them two-handed because you get more accuracy out of it. They're easier to control. It's easier to handle the recoil. Now I know there's going to be a percentage of you, yes, I'm looking at you, that are going to justify their inaction by saying something along the lines of, their arguments are crazy. They seriously are. But they're justifying their inaction by saying that, oh, I'm just waiting for the real fight to happen. They're too afraid to write a letter, but yet they think they have the balls to take up arms against the government. So before you get caught in one of their traps and one of their ridiculous justifications on why you should just sit back and opt out, and if you don't vote and you don't participate in any of the legal processes, I have no time for you. Don't go on trying to make political videos when you don't even participate yourself because you're too afraid for inaction. and then you try to convince your audience that you're just waiting because this way you can shoot some feds or blow up some federal buildings. That's ridiculous. You're not willing to fight when times are easy, but you're telling everyone that you're going to fight while times are hard? Get a life, dude.
Even before you start, that was a preemptive shh. Just know I have a whole bag of shh with your name on it.
I strongly recommend checking out those letters. They're inspirational. And it's kind of cool seeing, like, actual lawyers put together a letter against the feds. Now, should this go through, there's a lot of states where you just simply can't have SBRs. So now you have a couple of choices here. You can destroy it, which is the most un-American thing I've ever heard of. Or because it's an SBR and it's illegal, period, well, you might as well just go ahead and drill your third hole because it's still an SBR. There's nothing you can do to make that legal, so why not go half legal and just go fully legal? You know what I mean? Like, who really cares at that point? Drill your third hole and call it a day. Maybe put a real stock on it, because no matter what, it's an SBR. Because once a rifle is made, or a rifle is converted into an SBR, or an SBR is made, it is always an SBR. You can't undo that. That rifle will always be legal. I believe the District of Columbia, and there's some states out there where SBRs are just illegal, period, on the state level. So then who really cares? You have an SBR. There's nothing you can do to change that. No matter what, if you get caught with that firearm, you're screwed. So you might as well just go ahead and drill your third hole at that point. Because why not? Anyway, if you've been following along with this, we don't know for sure yet what the ATF's going to do, if they're going to use deference or not. We're hoping they don't, because it's stupid. But even if they do, should the bump stock case win, it makes all of that irrelevant. So that's why you got to really keep up with the bump stock case and support it any way you can. Because that is literally a case fighting against deference. If you're not familiar with deference, back in 1984, there was a company called Chevron Oil, and they went to the Supreme Court fighting against some tree huggers because the tree huggers wanted to say that each individual smokestack, because the way the law was written, is an individual structure, and each one needed to be regulated separately. And Chevron Oil is like, no. And the EPA was actually backing up Chevron Oil. They're like, no, that's an umbrella term over the whole facility. So, it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled that the EPA had the power to interpret the law how they seen fit, and there was absolutely nothing you can do about it. Therefore, since the EPA said it's an umbrella over the whole entire facility, it's an umbrella over the whole entire facility. That's why they call it Chevron deference. So any organization that enforces a law has the power to interpret the law how they see fit. And the ATF is trying to reinterpret how SBRs are written down to say that pistol braces are now SBRs. And they can do that. They have deference. We get rid of deference, which again, you need to support the bump stock case. Then they can't do that anymore. Then anytime a law needs to be changed or clarified, it needs to go to Congress, which is where it should have been going the whole entire time. Remember, the Supreme Court, they decided that these agencies that are not elected officials have the power to basically change laws without going in front of Congress, which is total BS, because otherwise, say, like, Congress started doing all this crap with the braces, we could vote out the people we don't like. We can't vote out the ATF. They are appointed, they are bureaucrats, this is way beyond their powers of what they should have had. We need the bump stock case to win, so all that power is stripped away. So things like the EPA, the DOT, the ATF, the FBI can't just randomly interpret laws however they see fit and prosecute people. Hopefully we win. Even if we don't win, no matter what, it will change the country forever. Follow along, support that, write your congressman, do whatever the hell you have to do, or whatever you think might help that case. Get that thing to win, because that will change the landscape of this country forever. Anyway, thank you for watching. Like and support the channel. Got my Patreon right there. I also have affiliate links in the description down below. Just by clicking on those links, even if you don't purchase what that particular link is for, just clicking on that and then doing the Amazon shopping you were already going to do anyway. I had a little kickback for it because you came there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.